Hello, this is Lona Hall, and I'm a candidate for your leadership team. I am so excited to talk to you today about some of my ideas for supporting online faculty. Let's get into it. First of all, just a little bit about me. I am a classroom teacher, but I have extensive experience working with my fellow teachers, supporting them, delivering PL, and specifically within the area of technology in the classroom. So I have a deep understanding of the struggles that classroom teachers are facing today with technology and also with online teaching as well. The purpose of this presentation is to present a realistic picture of the challenges facing online educators today. I'm also going to offer some real-world ideas that are backed by theories and models, some ideas for dealing with these challenges in order to support our faculty, but also to build efficacy among our faculty and ultimately help our learners. In this presentation, I'm going to discuss some of the theories that I feel are appropriate to consider as we're discussing supporting online faculty. I'm also going to propose some strategies, talk about some common problem areas that we deal with in the world of online teaching, and recommend some potential solutions that are actionable and specific. Here are some useful theories and models for supporting faculty. The first theory that I think is very relevant to online teaching is cognitivism. So cognitivism is all about what's going on in the brain. So specifically, we want to know how internal mental processes like thinking, memory, and problem solving affect a learner's ability to comprehend new information. And of course, that's going to be age dependent. So that's something we online educators need to keep in mind. And those of us also supporting online educators need to keep in mind as well. These processes will be influenced by many things, including representation, chunking information into usable pieces rather than overwhelming the learner, and finding ways to help our learners collaborate. Gagney's 9 events come to mind when we're talking about this theory. The 9 events connect what the teacher is doing with their students, so activities, how information is presented. Connects all of that to the student's cognitive development and what's appropriate. So we're keeping what's going on in the brain of the learner in mind when we design our lessons. And that is something that's very relevant to online teaching. And it's important that we remind our online teachers about this as they're developing their courses and delivering them to learners. The next theory, or really a model that comes to mind, is the TPACK framework. So the TPACK framework is a framework of 3 components that are overlapping. Those are the technological knowledge, pedagogical knowledge, and content knowledge. So this is something, as we support online teachers, we need to show them the TPACK framework, especially if they have never seen it before, and explain why it's important to make sure that you're considering all of these aspects of teaching as you're designing your course and implementing it as well. So it's important, obviously it's an online course, so the technological component is important, but not just how it's presented, but also how the students are using the technology. However, the best technology in the world cannot replace good pedagogy. So you need to think about how you're delivering the content, what your objectives are, how you're going to release information, and how you're going to assess your students. And then, of course, content knowledge. Our online teachers should be well-grounded in their content and be able to put that into their course in order to support the learning. Fink's model for supporting faculty change. This is very much about what's going on with our teachers and what we need to consider as we're trying to support them through what they're doing. So Fink's 6 critical conditions are described as awareness, encouragement, time, resources, cooperative students, and then recognition and reward. Obviously, some of these we have more direct control over as leaders of online faculty. However, we need to acknowledge that all of these are important and all of these are potentially going to be related to the concerns of our teachers. There are a few that we can specifically influence a little bit more than others. For example, recognition and reward, number 6, resources, number 4, encouragement, of course. Part of our objective really is to encourage our teachers so that they can do the work they need to do. And then to a certain degree, we can influence how much time we give them in their professional development and collaboration. I just want to mention some general supportive strategies that we should always use with our online faculty. The first is just to simply listen. We need to establish a way to listen and then listen when teachers express their needs. If you don't listen to the needs of your faculty, if you just assume you know what they need, then there will automatically be a disconnect between what the teachers are doing and what we, the leaders of the teachers, think they're doing. The second supportive strategy is to provide, specifically providing academic, but also logistical resources. So we shouldn't assume that our teachers are already familiar with the LMS that they're provided with. We should make sure that we give them the training that they need. We should make sure we explain what our expectations are. When new technology is presented, we have to make sure that the technology integration process keeps in mind the needs of our different levels of teachers. And then also we should consider the content resources that are available and how we're going to push those out to our teachers. Finally, another strategy is to offer multiple ways for faculty to not only reach out to us, members of leadership, but also reach out to one another for support. And sometimes this may not be specific support. It can be general support. You want to give the teachers a way to establish a colleague morale and encourage them to collaborate with one another. Frequent problem areas and potential solutions. So here's a scenario. Problem number 1. New teachers do not know where to start and feel overwhelmed with the world of online instruction. My proposed solution for this is to require a training course for new teachers. Now, the training course is not a new idea, but I think you'll see how the details of this training course are a little bit different from what's typically done. So this training course will be mandatory. It will be developed through the same LMS that the teacher is developing their own course, so they're simultaneously seeing a model of how a course should look. And it should be very, very intentional. So the course should be developed so that the information is presented in succinct chunks, and that information should be practical, and it should be in a reasonable sequence to avoid overwhelming the teacher and making them feel like it's just one more thing to do. Okay, so for example, at the beginning of a term, that is the time to talk about how to present your course expectations to students, how to establish relationships with your students and their families, how to draft a syllabus. That is not the time to overwhelm them with details about assessments or how to promote collaboration. So you're going to roll information out in the training course a bit by bit. You're going to scaffold it, stagger it, so that it is truly helpful to the teacher. You're also going to, of course, provide each teacher with a faculty mentor, someone who has volunteered for the role ideally and has a lot of experience and will be another point of contact for them. Problem number 2, established teachers feel overlooked and may not fully understand the new technology tools that are adopted. So this happens quite a bit. You have teachers that have been around for a while, and as new technology tools are integrated, you kind of forget that not all teachers feel as comfortable with new technology as others. So to combat this, first of all, you need to provide timely, ongoing PL to support technology integration. That's for all of your teachers, not just a few. And you need to maintain open lines of communication between teachers and their supervisors so they really feel comfortable asking questions, even if they think they might be dumb questions. And a good way to do this is to use some sort of online forum, like a discussion board within the digital newsletter you send out perhaps, or linked to it, to encourage teacher-to-teacher support and also encourage people to reach out, sort of to normalize reaching out for help. Problem number 3, teachers struggle to get their students engaged in the materials provided. They feel resentment towards the students and their families. So this is not a good situation, and yet it can be kind of common when teachers are having trouble with student engagement. So a great thing to do is to showcase course pages that are particularly engaging from your veteran teachers who've been around it for a while and figured these things out. So you could showcase these through a digital newsletter. You could showcase them sending them out by email, whatever makes sense for your staff. And another idea is to provide ready-made activities for specific teachers who are struggling. So let's say you have a 7th grade ELA teacher and they're having trouble engaging their students. Maybe you could give them something that's made in the LMS, an activity, a way to deliver their content, just something that's already ready so that they can push that out to kids and hopefully see a difference in engagement and experience that it can happen. And then finally, you want to model how to communicate with students and their families. Sometimes a lack of engagement is the result of students not really being comfortable with their teacher or families not really being comfortable with the teacher. So modeling good communication and establishing a nice classroom culture is one way to deal with that. Thank you so much for watching my presentation on supporting online faculty today. I also appreciate you considering me as a candidate for your leadership team. I hope you have a wonderful day.